What's up, guys? Welcome to Whisky. I'm Jeff. This is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and every once in a while throw in other whiskey-related content. Today, I've got a list for you guys. We're coming up on the end of the year, and that means I'm doing a lot of sort of my look-back videos, my roundup videos for 2023. And today's list is going to be my top 5 runners-up for Whiskey of the Year. So this should be a fun one. Stick around. All right, so we've officially kicked off December, and that means that it's the time of year where we really milk those YouTube numbers, where we really look back and take stock of all the whiskeys that left big impressions with us in 2023. And I can only speak for myself here, but 2023 was a really good whiskey year. I put a lot of really good things in my mouth this year. Why did I say it like that? And as is tradition, I want to start things off with a heavy hitter category. So today's list is going to be 5 runners up for Whiskey of the Year, which means these guys were in consideration and they represent some of the best whiskeys that I had this year. And that also means that my proper Whiskey of the Year video is going to be coming out this week. So exciting times. One thing I do want to clarify though is that this video as well as the next one are dealing with the best affordable whiskeys that I had this year. So if you've got a premium price tag, if you cost an arm and a leg, you're not a contender. Also, I don't include stuff like IBs or single cask releases or any kind of really exclusive bottlings. What we're looking for here is wide availability and a reasonable price tag. These whiskeys are listed in order of preference, so it is a top 5 countdown. In terms of what we've got on the list, there are some old favorites in here as well as some new bottles popping up. As usual, guys, I do have a mystery pour in my glass here. It's a wonderful whiskey. Make sure you stick around after the list. I'll share with you what that is. And I suppose that's all of our bases covered. Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into our list. In the meantime, if you'll kindly leave a like down below, that'd be greatly appreciated. So we'll kick things off with an honorable mention, and for this one, I want to put on my 2 previous whiskeys of the year. So I had Craigellachie 13 in 2021, and I had the Bruichladdich Classic Laddie in 2022. And since I don't want to repeat myself by putting them on any of the lists this year, I figured I'd relegate them to an honorable mention here because, as far as I'm concerned, they still represent some of the best bang-for-buck whiskeys out there today. Okay, so kicking off our proper list at number 5, I've got a whiskey that I talked about recently, and I think it kind of took some people by surprise because it's not a brand I've ever discussed on the channel before, but I brought up the Glasgow 1770 Peated, which I think is a wonderful whiskey. It's big peat, it's big sherry, it's not complicated, it's not groundbreaking, but what it is affordable and delicious. This is one of those big peat and sweet sherry combo whiskeys, so if you're a fan of stuff like the Kilchoman Loch Gorm or even the Kilchoman Sanig, maybe you like sherried Bowmores, or maybe you like the Bunnahabhain, whatever that is, then this one should be right up your alley. It is a good one. We've got craft specs, and it's just a big, punchy, accessible peat sherry blast, and yeah, really fun one. Comes in at number 5. Next up, I want to surprise you guys with a new release from this year. This one is the Glenglassa PortSoy. Now, this is one I only got to try recently, and I really enjoyed it. Didn't blow me away, but it is a very solid whiskey. And I like that Glenglassa completely reinvented themselves this year. I think it was long overdue, and I do think they've upped their game. This new line came out earlier this year. It consists of 3 whiskeys. We've got our PortSoy here. There's also a Sanden, which is no age stated as well, and we've got the 12-year-old. Now, the 12-year-old I did try, and that's another one that didn't quite blow me away, but I did think it was a really solid whiskey, and I enjoyed it. Our PortSoy here is better still. It's craft presented. It's matured in port, sherry, and bourbon casks. It is a peated whiskey, and it's just a really fun, really pleasant, smoky, and fruity profile. This stuff is craft presented. Our ABV is 49.1%. It does have its own character, and I'll be honest, this was never going to be among the top contenders for Whiskey of the Year, but it is one that I wanted to put on the list because I want to celebrate the fact that we've got a new player on the scene. I do like the new direction that Glenglassa has gone in, and this is a really nice whiskey, and it's one we're picking up. It's not too expensive, and it is good. So check it out. Comes in at number 4. All right, so next up, I've got a repeat from last year's list, and I never like putting too many repeats on these lists because I want to give you guys something fresh every year. But still, when I think of bang for buck, high quality whiskeys, this is one of the first bottles that pops into my mind, and that's the Legic Rio Cask. Shockingly, this was matured in, you guessed it, Rioja wine casks. For me, this one's a little bit similar to the Glasgow 1770 Peated in the sense that they're very big, bold, straightforward, sweetened peat. So you have this big punchy peat, and you also have a very strong, very complementary fruity cask influence. What sets this apart though is that Legic peat, which for me is unmistakable. We have our craft specs, and it's just a very affordable, big fun whiskey. And even though I don't like repeating myself, this is a bang for buck list, and I did not want to omit it. The value here is absolutely fantastic, and it's definitely one worth checking out. Legic Rio. Okay, at number 2, we're getting into the really good stuff. These are the real contenders here. What I've got is actually a repeat again from last year, and this was my number 1 runner-up for Whiskey of the Year last year. This one's the Killan Karen 12. So basically, had I not picked the Classic Laddie for my Whiskey of the Year last year, it would have been Killan Karen 12. That's how much I like it. Now, this is very hyped up. You guys all know about it, but it is beautiful. For me, it's the go-to Campbelltown whiskey, especially now that Springbank is not really available. This has that coveted, wonderfully rugged Campbelltown profile that everyone's chasing these days, and despite being very prominent in last year's list, I couldn't in good conscience omit it from this year's list. It's an incredible whiskey, and it needed to be here, so it comes in at number 2, Killan Karen 12. Alright, so my number 1 spot, or I guess my number 2 spot, since my Whiskey of the Year would actually be formerly my number 1 spot, but the top spot on this list is a whiskey that I've been hyping up quite a bit, but not too many others have, and I'm not sure a lot of you know about this one. Amazing whiskey. I've got Kingsbarns Dream to Dram here. I have talked this one up quite a few times on the channel. I always say that if you like distillate-driven, malty whiskey that's both delicate and punchy, this is a good one to check out. This one is youth done right. This is not an old whiskey. It doesn't taste like an old whiskey, but it's so good. I think this is a great option for people who like stuff like the Classic Laddie or maybe Glenglassa 10. I always steal Whiskey Lock's description of this stuff. In his review, he said this had laser sharp maltiness, and I think that's dead on. Now, formerly this was discontinued for a little while, and it was replaced with the Ducat, which is an older version of itself. Personally, I prefer this to the Ducat, but I guess the brand knew they were onto something, and they recently put this one back out again. Now, I'm not sure, but I believe it's just out as a limited release, so it might not be a long run, so don't sleep on this one, guys. Grab it if it sounds interesting to you. As far as I'm concerned, this was one of the best affordable whiskeys that I had in 2023, but because it's kind of like coming and going and not really a stable release, it did get relegated to the runners-up list, but really good. Alright, so that was it, guys. That was the list. I hope you enjoyed it. Of course, it is all opinion, and as usual, I want to hear from you. So what do you think of my picks, or what were some of your picks? What were some whiskeys you were considering for Whiskey of the Year, or what is your actual Whiskey of the Year? Let me know down below. Finally, for those of you who stuck around to find out what my mystery pour in the glass is here, I'm drinking Mortlach 12. Now, this one didn't make it on the list because, honestly speaking, it's not on the same level as the whiskeys I put on the list, but I did want to recommend it anyway because I really like the profile, and I do think it's one of the better 12-year-old whiskeys out there, despite not having all the specs and despite being a Diageo product, which I know is not going to be to everyone's taste, but it is a good one, and I think it's worth checking out. So there we go, Mortlach 12. And I suppose that is it for our list today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Again, looking forward to reading your comments down below. If you want to help out the channel, I do have the Patreon. Also, you can like, comment, subscribe. That always helps. And that's it. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.